Hey sister friends, it's Terry from Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Make sure to subscribe, wherever the subscribe button's at, so that you will get notifications for these videos. We have a new one every single week. And today I am reviewing Jolie Paint. I painted this fireplace with this paint yesterday, and that will be here in the rest of the video. And I came up with some pros and cons. It's good paint. Let me start out with that, but I made myself a little cheat sheet here. It took me about maybe 5 hours to do the whole thing. I cleaned it, sanded the top, and scuff sanded here or there, but I actually, because the top was a little bit damaged, put a little bit of primer, and these insets were like a black laminate, so I actually put a little bit of a primer there. Normally you don't need a primer with this paint, but because of the condition of this wood, it needed it. I used both synthetic brushes and natural bristle brushes to see if I could tell the difference with it, and I could a little bit, and I'll get to that in a minute. And these are 4-ounce containers, and I was very iffy about whether or not this was going to be enough to cover this, and it did. But if it was up to me under other circumstances besides having these tiny little 4-ounce jars, I would have put another coat. It doesn't, where can we go here? It doesn't really need another coat, but I would have been more comfortable if it had another coat. And then their wax is really good as well. It's a clear top coat. What I like, and I didn't write this on my pros, is this has a matte finish. And I like a matte finish. I still think it's very, very fashionable. And this is with a coat of wax on it. And I'm probably going to buff it in a little while to see if I could get a tad of sheen, just so that I'll know. It does, the company does say that you can create a little bit of a sheen by buffing this wax the next morning. And it would probably take more time or elbow grease than I have because of my hurt shoulder. I absolutely can see that you could buff this wax and get a sheen if you wanted. Let me just make sure and go over the whole top here so that I don't forget in a minute. Okay, so the pros that I have are the colors. I chose these colors. They have I don't know how many colors, quite a few colors, and these are very bright and very beautiful. They look exactly like they look on the color chart and in here, so I was surprised at that. But there is a large selection of colors, and if you're thinking about selling this brand of paint, their marketing materials and brochures and things like that are the best I've ever seen with any company in the industry. They've really got that going on. And the matte finishes is a pro as well, even though I don't have that on here. Another pro is you can, and what I found with using the different brushes is you can get more texture. If you want more texture, just use your natural bristle brush for that. And if you want it to be smoother, you can add about 5% water. And you know, I like to use the misting bottle. I added a little water and I misted a little on my second coat. On my first coat, I just wanted to see what it would go like on. And I felt like I didn't get the coverage that I anticipated, but it's also my very first time using this paint, so you know that it could have been user error a little bit there. But you can get a smooth finish by misting, using, you know, making sure it's sand ahead of time, misting, using a little water in there to make it run smooth, and using a synthetic brush, or get a more textured finish with less water and your natural bristle brush. and the blendability and the color mixes. I mixed these two, and it's hard to tell now because I covered most of it up, but I overran these edges a little bit with the pink color here, which is called Hibiscus. And then I came back over it with just a little bit of the Deep Lagoon, and it made a beautiful sort of violet color, and I barely left it showing around the edges there, but it was very easy to blend, and the color that I came out with by mixing it together was a beautiful color. So good blendability and color mixing. And for the cons is the coverage. I don't know if it's the quantity of pigments that are in it compared to some other brands that I've used. I just felt like during my first coat and even my second coat, I didn't get the coverage that I wanted. I felt like it needed a third coat. And I'm a very impatient painter. Lots of people don't mind putting on a third coat and getting it how they want, and just enjoy the process. I like to be done. I would have wanted to be done with this in 3 hours. I'll put it that way. It took a long time to dry, actually. According to the manufacturer, it should take about 20 minutes to dry. But here, it took about 2 hours, but it's also winter time. So, and I did have the heater going in the studio here at 69 degrees. But it did take a long time to dry, and again, that could be user error because some areas I had it a little thicker than others because the first coat I did without the added water to be able to compare that. It's expensive paint. I'm sure they have very high quality ingredients in here, but this 4-ounce jar costs the same as an 8-ounce jar in most every other brand that I use. And the drying time, that was another one that was on there. So you can get texture, not get texture. And the wax went a long way. It was easy to apply. I applied it with a wax brush and then wiped it back off with a soft cloth. You'll see that later in the video. And I'm very, very pleased this morning at how it still looks so matte, which was what I wanted when using the wax. It does deepen the color back up a little bit, and you can too, if you want that smooth finish, lightly sand with maybe a 400 grit sanding pad or something like that between coats to get rid of any brush strokes that you didn't want. All in all, I would use the paint again. I don't know that it'll become my #1 brand because of the cost and because of having to do a third coat and me being so impatient. But if I had a stack of it over there, I would definitely use it quite often. So I will give it a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure to subscribe, watch the next video, and look for more reviews coming up. Thank you.